Hey y'all, it's Nancy the Handy Scandy. Welcome back for another crafty venture. Today I'm going to bring you a mixed media card with a bat motif, plus I'll have two bonus cards at the end. I do want to apologize in advance. I've been having trouble with my audio for some time now, and I don't think I have the problem resolved. So I just want to get that out of the way up front. And yeah, I apologize. So please be patient with me. I'll try to work out all the glitches before the video to go live, but I can't guarantee that. Also, this bat die is from Temu, so, full disclosure, a lot of people are totally against Temu. I have not seen this bat die anywhere else on the market. So if it looks familiar to you, please let me know. I want to make sure that I give credit where credit is due, and I will even go and buy full price the die from the originator if you can tell me where it's from. I have done all kinds of searches and can't find it. So let me know, because I am not about stealing intellectual property. So with all of that said, I have a couple sheets of, I don't know if I'm using mixed media card on this day, to be honest, or if it's watercolor card. I think it's watercolor. But you can see that I'm using some I'm using paste. It happens to be crackle paste from Ranger. And I'm using a variety of different stencils. I just pulled out whatever pleased my heart on that day in that moment. And you can see that I am laying down these patterns and this paste very randomly, very haphazardly, not worrying if my stencil sticks to already wet paste, just laying it down. And then I give it time to dry. And while it's drying, pardon me, I clean off my stencils because I don't want any of that paste to stick down in the holes of any of the stencils, because that will clog basically the holes and then end up blocking and altering your design. So here I have some fireworks sprays from Imagine Crafts, and I'm just using them to add color. You can use any type of spray medium that you might have. It doesn't even have to be a spray medium. You can do this in a variety of different ways. What I don't like is when my spray, regardless of the brand or the type, when it comes out in a bullseye. So struggling with that a little bit with these sprays, but I don't use them very frequently. So, they tend to get clogged up, and they have a lot of mica in them. So it took a lot of shaking to get it all mixed up. And still it's wanting to stay clogged, so I just poured it out, and it still works. It's messy. I use way too much fluid, way too much water, way too much pigment. Y'all know me. I'm excessive. That's who I am and what I do. So this silver one is a distress spray. Oh, it's a distress mica stain, and it is one of the ones from the holidays. I can't remember if it's a Christmas one or if it was a Halloween one. But if you want to pause on that, I do show it. And if I remember, I will add it to the description box below. But I got them where I wanted them. I allowed them to dry, and you can see the splatters. I did go back once everything was dry and add the splatters so that they would not blend in, but they would stand out separately. Because remember, wet on wet blends, right? Wet on dry layers. So I wanted it to layer. And I just love the mottled appearance that this has. Now, it did get a little too dark. I did not embrace any white space on these pages at all. So I've got some white acrylic paint, and you can see I'm just pouring it right out onto my glass mat, and I use my brayer. I just want a thin layer of the white paint, so I'm going back and forth, making sure that my brayer is loaded, but with a thin layer. And then I just lightly go over the tops of both of these papers, and I want to hit basically the tops of that dried crackle paste, because I want the patterns to stand out, and I want the crackles to be more visible than they are now. The color is beautiful, the gradation of color, the way the colors blended, all of that I think is absolutely gorgeous, but I just want that pattern to stand out a little bit more. And this may be a part of the process where you're going, oh my gosh, what is she doing? Trust the process. When you see the end cards, you'll understand what I'm saying. And this is just where you have to trust your process and trust yourself, that you're following your heart, following the directions, whatever it might be. But you could see that that allowed all of that texture and pattern to stand out. And here I'm doing the second one in the very same way. Now I do want to say that I have most of this video sped up. This is probably 2 hours worth of footage that I have narrowed down to, like, I don't know, 12 minutes-ish. So that one I was a little more heavy-handed, but still, I'm not mad about it. I used these dies that I got from the sweet Miss Tina over at Crafty Bean, and I use them as viewfinders basically to find exactly what part of the pattern I want for my project. So here I'm just trimming down this excess black cardstock, and I'm going to run them both through my Gemini Junior, which I have learned to make friends with. For those of you who were around about a year-ish ago when I was really struggling with this die cutting machine, I think I've made friends and we tend to get along pretty well now. So I love the way these dies nest together. Now, nesting dies are nothing new, obviously, but I just love it. I love that black border. I love a black border on just about any type of card. It doesn't matter the season or the reason. I just love a black border, and these just help that a lot. And so I was auditioning all my pieces so far just to make sure I was liking what I had. But you can see how the pattern on that mixed media background, how it just kind of blends together, right? It's not one, excuse me, it's not one individual stenciled design that stands out, but all of them meld together as one. And you'll see what I mean more. You'll see what I mean by that more as I show the close-ups near the end. I hope that makes sense. So I had that whole panel popped up on some double-sided foam tape, and I'm adding just a little layer of ribbon. I had that, it's like a felt, that bat ribbon that's laying there. I thought I might use it, but it was just too many bats. And it took away from that beautiful die. So just using my liquid glue, and I use my reverse tweezers as an extra pair of hands every time I'm in the craft room, regardless of what I'm doing. I don't even necessarily have to be tying a bow or making a project, but I use those tweezers for everything. So my ribbon got a little twisted, so I want to fix that. And then again, I use my tweezers to just hold everything in place until it dries, because it got a little wonky on the back there. Add a little dab of glue right behind the knot, and you'll see there go those tweezers one more time. And then I mount this whole panel to the card panel because I have the black layering piece down. But then I want to add something to the inside. So I don't know where these card bases came from, but they are very thin paper. It's probably a 65, maybe an 80, 85 pound cardstock, very lightweight, not meant to be card bases. So I don't know where I got them from. But with that being said, I want to add some bulk to them. So I'm trying to figure out, again, using that die as a viewfinder to see what part of this panel that I wanted to use, because I layer them up again and then I trim it down. I just want part of that decorative edge basically, and that will add a little bit of stability to the base, and it will add some pattern and prettiness, if you will, to the inside of the card, still leaving plenty of room to write a message to the recipient. But that card panel, or the card base, is still quite flimsy. So I add the whole card to a black background, basically. And I used to do this all the time when I made cards. In fact, when I first started card making, I don't think there was ever a time when I didn't add a back layer, and it makes everything pop. It just creates a beautiful black frame, makes the whole card panel make sense, pulls it all together, makes the stuff on the front pop, and it adds that stability that the card needed. So here is my little organizer box, and I have a bunch of charms and bulb pins and safety pins and all kinds of things in there. So I found the right charm that I wanted. I really wanted a bat, but I couldn't find one. If I have one, it evaded me on this day. So just adding that charm to the pin and then pinning the whole thing to the knot on the little ribbon. And then I will glue it down one more time because it came undone. but essentially we are done. And so you'll see those tweezers come back into play, like I said, most used tool. And that, my friends, is the finished card. I think it's so, so cute. Now the die for the sentiment is from Whimsy, and the sentiment itself is from Tracy Hay Designs. And then I used just a couple of little brads on the ends. I think it turned out super, super cute. But it took me a long time to make that background, and I got all messy, and not everybody likes that. So this is a variation on a theme, right? Same basic elements, but that background was a printed stencil. And it was just in my scrap bin. It's from a project several years ago, actually. It was when I was first learning to use spray stains, and I was printing off my stencils, and I didn't even know that that was a technique. But still, if you don't want to get actually messy, that's okay. There's all kinds of pattern papers out there, whether you want the mixed media look like this or you just want something completely different. I stayed with the mixed media vibe, and I just love this pattern paper. It's another one that I got. I purchased this online, I'm not sure where from, but it gives the same kind of vibe. That one happens to be a little bit more rainbow, so each one has a different feel and a different overall aesthetic, if you will, but the vibe is the same basic elements, pattern paper, die cuts, the same sentiment strips, all of that. And so now you have one mixed media card with that fun bat motif and two bonus cards with a similar vibe. Y'all let me know what you think. Give me some thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, because I'd love to have you back. And until next time, y'all, this is Nancy, the Handy Scandy. And I'm out.